Welcome back everybody. In this video tutorial, I'm going to talk about transformations of graphs. Now there are many common graphs that have simple transformations that can tweak their equations, and it's important to understand those changes in order to understand how the graph behaves. Vertical and horizontal shifts generate a family of functions, each with the same shape but at different locations in the plane. So for the following examples, I'm going to simply sketch the functions. Then I'm going to explain how each graph has transformed. Now let's look at an example. I'm going to leave this list here so that you can have this for reference and that you can follow along as I explain throughout this video. So let's sketch a plane here. Let's take a simple equation. We're all familiar with the equation y equals x squared. Y equals x squared is simply a parabola. Now, if you were to vertically shift this equation, either upwards or downwards, and if you look at the list I have on the left, let's say I want to move the graph upward 1 unit, I'll just add a +1 here. So by adding +1, the graph is going to shift 1 unit upward. So at y equals 1, the graph is going to become like this. Sorry, excuse my drawing. So the graph is going to shift like this. If I were to change this to -1, the graph is simply going to move 1 unit down. So at y equals -1, the graph is going to look like this. Now, the function itself didn't really change. It's just the position of it in the plane. Now, assuming we want to try moving the graph either left or right, let's say x +1 squared. The function itself didn't really change. However, it did shift 1 unit to the left, as you can see here. C is basically +1. Now this can sound a little bit confusing, as you would assume if it's plus C, it would move to the right. But that's not the case here. Because when you set x +1 equal to 0, x is going to give you -1. That means that it shifted to the left 1 unit. And the graph ultimately will look something like this. It's still a parabola. It just shifted 1 unit to the left. Now let's try a slightly difficult example. Let's say we have a cubic function we all know a cubic function behaves like this. This is y equals x cubed. Now let's say I change this function to y equals x minus 2 cubed minus 1. So what are the shifts that happened here? Well, we can see that the graph moved 2 units to the right and it shifted 1 unit downwards. So if we were to mark off some increments here, let's say 1, 2, and 3, we have 1, 2, and 3. So the whole graph moved 2 units to the right. So 1, 2, and then 1 unit down. So it would look something like this. Sorry, let me change that a little bit. It will look something like this. Now I'll move 2 units to the right and then 1 unit down. This point ended up here. And this is the basics of vertical and horizontal shifts.